So how much do you know about the word Takiwātanga? Why create a Maori word for autism? How can Te Reo Hāpai help the sectors such as mental health, disability, and addiction? Kia ora koutou katoa. I'm Lloyd Perez and I'm local. Come and join me in our episode of Takiwātanga. I would like to introduce you to the man who authored Te Reo Hāpai, a Maori language glossary for mental health, addiction, and disability. He won the 2018 Mental Health Services Awards of Australia and New Zealand for the creation of Te Reo Hāpai, the man behind the Maori word Takiwātanga for autism. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Keri Opai.
Kia ora Lloyd. Kia ora koutou. Hope you're all safe watching and listening today. Happy to be here. Thanks for your time.
Thank you for your time. We're actually meant to do a Zoom video here, but I insisted that we do a face-to-face conversation about the mental health dictionary that he authored, and also, of course, the Takiwatanga terminology for autism. Who is Keri Opai?
Do I have to? Yeah, I guess so. Yes, I'm Keri Opai. I'm from Taranaki. So my iwi are Te Aotearoa, Ngāti Te Ata from up here, also Ngāti Ruanui, of course, from Taranaki, Ngāti Te Ata from Tainui here in sort of Hamilton Way, but also Waiohua in Auckland and Ngāti Porou on the east coast as well. So those are my iwi affiliations. I was brought up in Taranaki, so brought up by the sea, so that's my go-to place when I have to think and relax and contemplate things, and so I went to the sea when I was coming up with autism with Takiwātanga. So I was lucky to be taught by elders, so very, very fortunate to be taught by my Taranaki elders at my home in Taranaki and New Plymouth and Te Hāwera and those places. Main thing is that I was very lucky to have good ears and listen to my elders that taught me from a young age, so hopefully that's held me in good stead.
Can you tell us about the Te Reo Hāpai glossary which you have authored and how this will help the mental health?
One of the entities I worked for 5 years under the WISE group was called Te Pou o Te Whakaoranui. At that time, it's now called Te Pou. And in my work as a sort of cultural advisor, consultant, person that sort of works out what the tikanga, what the protocols are, and all that sort of thing, and spent time with our kaumātua and that. In that role, I sort of saw things being written from the government, from all over, all different agencies, and they were kind of spelling Māori things wrong, and they didn't have words for some things, and maybe I can help with that. Maybe I can create something that will, make it consistent, make it clear, and have some positive Māori indigenous worldviews in it.
So how long did it take for this to finish?
So I spent the next 2 years working on this glossary, so creating words for mental health, for addictions, for disability, but with a real spin of being positive, of being and indigenous. So a lot of the words in English are based on medical models, and they were often, sort of deficit based, and so disability, you don't have as much ability. And so I consulted with people, and I spent time with people and clinicians, and just went, so what is that like? What does Williams syndrome mean? What is that about? And what's autism like for you? So I wanted to spend time with people that were affected with these things, not just professionals, not just medical professionals. I thought, I would like to make up words that reflect how that person wants to define themselves, and that sort of thing. So right from when I first had the idea to when I launched it in Auckland, Hamilton, Wellington and Christchurch and Taranaki, probably at least 2 full years. And so that was 2017, and now we're 2020, and I'm having the launch of the online version, making it more accessible to people around the world. And you'll be able to, push a button and hear how it sounds. so you can hear how to pronounce it and all that sort of stuff. Around the country, we've probably given out, I think, about 10,000 copies, and around the world, people have downloaded it, I think, at least 8,000 times on all different continents. You know, I never would have thought, you know, Russia and Yugoslavia, but everywhere they've downloaded a copy and learning from it, so it's amazing. And so when I was working out the definition of autism in Māori, I was very lucky to have a good boss. You know, she said, look, go to the sea, go to your happy place where you can contemplate. And so I went out to Raglan here, and I stayed there for a week, and I just watched the sea come in, listened to the rhythm of the waves, watched the birds feed, watched the weather change, and while I was there, I worked on the translations for a lot of those words, and Takiwātanga was one of them. Luckily with autism, I had a lifelong friend, you know, a good friend of mine, really neat guy, Peter is his name, and so we met in school, and the bullies would beat him up. You know, they're just 4 of them would beat him up. And if I saw it, I'd get in the way and say, well, come on then, come through me, you know, and they were cowards, so they'd always run away, you know, they never ever wanted to, you know, get a hiding, but yet they'd hurt somebody else that couldn't defend himself. I hated that. And so, you know, we just became mates out of that, good friends. So I thought with my friendship with my mate Pete, really, it was just that he was a little bit out of step with people that didn't have autism. It just was a different life rhythm, and if you sort of leaned in and spent time with him, you'd get used to it, and it was fine. It was, you know, he's just a mate of mine. I never sort of think of him as an autistic guy, you know, we'd just go out and have a laugh. So when I'd consult with other autistic people and think about time with my mate, they just had their own rhythm to life, you know, and I wanted to reflect that in the word, and so I thought, I think the word for autism should be Takiwātanga, in his, her, their own time and space. I thought it would be quite life-changing for a lot of people in Aotearoa, but I didn't expect that around the world people were going, wow, that's a great way of saying it. You know, neuroscientists would email me and say, thank you for summing up in one word what it takes me 400 pages to write in a thesis. You know, I'm not an expert or anything, but I just based it on positive Māori indigenous worldviews and my friendship with Pete and, you know, consulting with people. But yeah, autism is the one that's really taken off around the world. So, you know, it's great. Other indigenous peoples are you know, emailing me and saying, wow, if you can do this, you know, maybe we can do it too, you know, all that sort of stuff. I don't think people realise how important language is. You know, if you, like the bullies at school, you know, you can choose how you talk to people. You can talk to how, you know, you can choose how you treat people. With language, if you want to crush someone's spirit, that's how you can do it. If you want to uplift them, if you want to give them respect, that's also how you do it. So I hope that my words are respectful and positive.
Thanks for that as well. I don't know if, I don't remember if I was able to thank you with coming up with that word as well. One of the challenges we're having right now is having that assessment, which is, of course, any parents can assess their kids, but is it the standard assessment? Is it right?
Yeah.
Is it the correct assessment?
Yeah.
But having 3 kids, you will realize that they're okay, and then the other one, he wants his own space, which kind of resonated with me as well. As my son always wanted to have his own space. When his brother and sister are playing, it's also playing, but part of the playing. Me and my wife were talking about it, and we have discussed like we might need to do something about it. I mean, we need to help him. He's just different, so we need to make sure that he gets the right education, the right treatment, and all those things.
Yeah, and that's how I saw it, as just different. If you can reframe autism or Williams syndrome, or all the other sort of things that people talk about in quite a negative way, I think it's worth reframing it and going, actually, that's just different. What are some things that we can do to get the best out of the situation? I know that sometimes it can be challenging, but sometimes it's like my mate. It's a real gift. He's a fantastic musician, and he goes around retirement homes and entertains people. You can play all these different instruments, remember all the words, sing, beautiful. So, just play to our strengths, like you say, we all have our strengths. So I think play to those.
I was having a conversation with my wife and I said, if I'm having a problem like this, or we're having a problem, probably there's still one family or probably more having the same problem or challenges. So that's why we're thinking like it's actually been overdue for me as for my endeavor in terms of how I wanted to help other people. Like I've been thinking of what nonprofit should I support, and then I keep on thinking, I keep on going outside my area of comfort, and then suddenly when we realized my son is likely to have autism, so why not do something about autism that you can help other people as well. Yeah. What do you do in terms of being motivated every day to come up with?
I mean, one thing is I take the right amount of time, right? So Takiwātanga, I think it probably took me 6 months to come up with that word. So the first thing is that I take the right amount of time to do it. I never ever rush those things. So it took me at least 2 years to do those terms, and I think it's about 200 there. I believe to give it respect and all that sort of thing, you've got to take a good amount of time and talk with the right people. You can't rush this. There wasn't a word for autism before. For however many years we've had the word autism, there wasn't a Māori word for that. So it's going to be, for the next 50 years. So I have to make sure it's right. It's kind of like art and science and grammar and Māori worldviews and all that sort of stuff. And so for me, it came together when I could just sit in the environment, in the natural environment, where I'm the most comfortable as an indigenous person, growing up by the sea. So I grew up by the sea. If I threw a rock from my house, it would go in the sea. That was my backyard. So that's where I go to think. So just a quick narrative. So when I was a teenager, I had a problem. I went to my kaumātua, and he said, "Āreki te whakarongo ki ngā korora te moana." Did I really hear that? He said, "Go and listen to what the sea has to say." And I thought, what does that mean? But he was saying exactly that, right? He was saying, go to the sea where you are comfortable, where you can think. Let nature just take hold. Don't think too hard. Just experience it. Watch the waves, listen to the rhythm, smell the sea air, let it hit your skin, feel it, and relax. But, I went to the sea and I did that, and, I did find peace, and I could work out the answers, the problems that I was having. And so I've always done that since then. Go and listen to what the sea has to say. That's pretty cool.
I think when they say go and relax, you need to relax. You don't think of other noises around.
Because you're right. The world is quite noisy, and there's lots of things happening, and you've got COVID and all sorts of things, and it does take your time and energy thinking about those things. If you can find a place or a time or wherever you feel comfortable, and it kind of heals your spirit a bit, I think. So for some people that's the bush, that's the forest. Some people it's the mountain. Some people it's the sea. Whatever you find to sort of be calm in yourself. Yeah, you're just able to, contemplate a bit more, and not be so distracted by all the busyness of the world.
Is there a restriction in terms of me using the language as well, in terms of, because I wanted to make sure that I'm not stepping into someone's toes or something.
You mean using the word Takiwātanga?
Yeah.
No, please. Look, I made it up, folks, so I'm giving Lloyd permission to use it, and people please use it.
Thank you.
It's great because it promotes positive, reimaginings of what autism means. So I created that book and all the words in it to be free, accessible to everyone. I want everyone to use them if they want to. And the online version, I want everyone to be able to just hear how it's pronounced and be able to pronounce it. So it's all free and open for people to use. The only thing is that I'd say if people take things out of it, can you not make a profit out of it? It's not for profit. So some people have said to me, I want to do this and make money out of it. It's not about that. It's about reframing some of those things, mental health, addictions and disability, into more positive and indigenous worldviews. So that's the only sort of caveat I'd say. It's not about making money. It's about making people feel more comfortable about who they are. So I want people like Pete to have a great life and not to be judged and be bullied and all those sort of things. So hopefully my words go towards that, and hopefully Takiwātanga does that as well.
Yeah. I'm also creating a website for this. That's why I want to make sure that I get it right. I create a website and then someone from the Maori community doesn't want it because I'm not Maori, and that's why I want to make sure that I pay respect, especially to you.
But I appreciate that because a lot of people have actually, like I said, have done websites and done businesses and that with Takiwātanga, but they didn't talk to me about it. They didn't ask me. And I might have actually said, I don't think that's appropriate for whatever it is, but didn't have the chance. So no, I appreciate it, mate. Yeah. And it's, I don't think Māori people will be, too worried about you using Takiwātanga. I've put it out there for everyone to use, so it's fine.
Okay. For me, the vision is pretty straightforward. The parent can assess their kids pretty well, and then once they have assessed that the kids have, or son, daughter have autism, they're able to get the help needed as soon as possible. Yeah. There was a time where my son didn't eat for a day. Mm-hmm. Like, we don't know what to do. For me, I might suddenly faint because I don't have any food. But he didn't so well. But the good thing is the following day he started eating again. And also there was a day, there were weeks as well, like sleepless weeks, because for some reason he wakes up like 2 a.m., 3 a.m., and then he sleeps back again at 6 o'clock. And then the caveat there is when he wakes up, I wanted to get him. Mm-hmm. Me and my wife is switching places as well.
It's a bit of a lifetime journey, isn't it? Learning all of that. Yeah. And I don't know if you ever stop learning, but certainly at the early stages, you do go through a lot of troubles and trying to do what's right in experimentation. Hopefully it'll get a little bit easier as time goes on, but doesn't matter how old they get, they're always going to be your kids, so
it came a time when my wife started living herself.
Sure. It's only natural that you go through that process, but it's like saying, it's bad weather. Yeah. Well, is it bad weather? Actually, it's good for the grass and the flowers, and so if it's raining, it's not great for me because I want to go for a ride and do this outside. But you have to take those things, I think, in your stride. So there's advantages and disadvantages, and good and bad and ugly and all the rest of it. But if you can concentrate on the strong things, on the strengths, that's definitely the way to go. So but it's just a natural thing that parents go through and people go through. But hopefully, when you go through that process, you come out and you go, actually, look, let's just concentrate on what we've got. We've got this great stuff over here. We'll concentrate on the strengths. Usually, the way to go, from my experience.
It's probably just a perception of how you perceive things.
Yeah, so people say it's bad weather. No, it's just the weather.
Yeah.
Right, and it sort of feels that way with my mate Pete. People would say, why do you hang out with him? And I'd say, because he's a really good guy. I like him. What's the problem?
So why hang out with?
Yeah, but exactly. So I don't want to hang out with those guys. I want to hang out with this guy. He's cool. So it was that sort of stuff where less judgy, less discrimination. You don't need that. You got enough negative stuff in life. Why pursue that? No, look, I just want to thank you and thank the viewers, for your time today and checking in and having a discussion and being informal, because I think many of us have a positive outlook on some of these things, and I think the old days of it being autism being a hard, bad, challenging thing all the time, it's just not true. It hasn't been my experience. Yeah, look, like anything, there are some challenges. Yeah, of course, but I'm very lucky in my job and with my friends, autistic mates, and that sort of thing, that actually I've seen it go from quite a negative thing to actually quite a positive thing. People are celebrating the differences of being autistic, and I hope that my contribution has helped to make it more acceptable and positive, and from Indigenous and Māori worldviews. So that's all I'd say. So thanks for listening, folks. I hope it was useful. Kia ora.
Thank you, appreciate it. A word is such a powerful source of energy. It can either bring down a person or make a person. As human beings, we have the ability to decide on how we are going to use these words. This can be a good source of energy, motivation, and brings about the power of hope. I hope you did enjoy our episode today. Me muto te whakawa haere. Let's stop judging others. Me mahi tahi tato. Let's all work together. Kia kaha. Stay strong. Or make a person. As human beings, we have... I hope you did enjoy our episode today. Me muto te whakawa haere. Stop. Me muto te... So we can't deny the power of words. This can either make a person or break a person.